nuclear war has begun. Vampires fought back in super real 3D.
So I was filming Fighting Giants. It was the first production stint of a two-parter. Maybe three, I guess, actually. We have 4 total days of filming. It started off as a 2-day shoot, then they expanded the project to be a double music video. I was going to do 3 days. But realistically, in looking at the story and everything, we really need 4 separate shoots. So I've still got 2 more days to go. Let's talk about this past weekend. We had Tiger Rock come out with Jason Adams as the head instructor, owner of Tiger Rock Martial Arts Academy in Crawfordville. He came out, brought some of his students, good amount of them, including some of the youth students, which was really fun. And I don't want to spoil anything as to how we're gonna, how the story unfolds, but we had a lot of participants doing martial arts inside of an awesome location. For the most part, except for filming the band performance stuff, which was later, I had to use a lot of natural light, like a lot more natural light than I've had to do in a while. Something I'm going to be up against is trying to put together different takes that happen over the course of a day and make it all feel like it's in the same time frame. As the exposure changes up and down outside, you're going to have bluer tints, you're going to have more yellow tints, and you're trying to get different exposure values, and you're trying to make it all feel like it all happened right there in this few minutes that happen on screen. So that's really something that's a challenge. It makes color grading a lot harder. It's nice that you don't have to move around lights as much, even though I did use a couple. But in the post-editing, you're up against a whole different type of task. You're going to have to keep changing. Once you figure out a grade, it's not going to keep working throughout the whole thing. You're going to have to keep changing it up as the exposures change. Now, what's a production schedule like for a weekend? So from 5:30 in the morning all the way till 7 o'clock, I'm prepping, I'm getting media cards ready, making sure that all my stuff is backed up multiple times before I start deleting stuff off of cards. In the digital era, it's so scary. You film this stuff and it's priceless. I mean, it really is priceless. To try and go back out and recreate this stuff, I mean, it can be done, but you're never going to have the same thing again. So it really becomes priceless. So everything gets captured, it gets backed up onto a second external drive, and then both of those drives stay unplugged from wall, and then I back up everything onto a RAID system, of which I have 3 RAID systems. Yeah, I've got 3 different ones, and some faster than others, and basically put the project, all that footage again onto a RAID, which is just a combination of hard drives that are all working together to try and be faster. I have it all in RAID 0. Redundancy, I cover that whenever I'm doing backups onto external drives that aren't plugged into walls. I still personally have a fear of depending on redundancy in a RAID system that's set up as a mirror. So when you mirror it, all that's happening, let's say you have a 10 terabyte RAID system, you actually only have 5 terabytes of storage, and the other 5 terabytes is just being mirrored. It's just mirroring everything that you put on the first 5 terabytes. So you're getting half of the space to put stuff on in a RAID like that. And the point is to have redundancy, but my fear is that it's still in the same enclosure, and this gets too complicated. I don't want to overwhelm you. But basically, let's just leave it at the idea that to me, it's still one unit plugged into a wall. If something happened, that unit's toast, both drives are screwed. I need maximum performance for the raw data that I'm dealing with. All this footage is averaging out at roughly at the compression rates that I like to film at. We're talking about a terabyte per hour of footage, pretty much. Sometimes I'll film at a lower compression rate than that just because the camera needs to film at a higher frame rate. I might have to go to a different compression. But at the end of the day, the data load still ends up being roughly the same in size. So we're talking about roughly a terabyte per hour of footage gathered, and I'm filming all weekend. Now, do all the prep, get all the lenses together, get all the lights together, get all the stands together, figuring out the shot list, writing all the last details, or something that just kicks into gear the day before production. I'm telling you, you can do all the planning in the world, but I promise the day before the production or right before, you're going to think of things that you just for some reason couldn't think of. It's like your body's switching into fight or flight mode. You're in fight mode, you're ready to just dodge or fight, react to quickly. Brought 3 camera systems plus a GoPro. They're very modular, so for the most part, except for the GoPro. Well, actually, the GoPro is a little modular. You'll see how we kind of used it in the movie, but But basically, it's all modular, so I set up each camera a bit differently depending on the kind of shoot that I'm going to do. In this case, I set the red up different than I've ever used it. I actually consolidated it down tremendously, did a lot of handheld stuff, so I wanted it to be as light as possible, and had a pretty cool setup. I actually really dug it. I'm even rocking it right now, even though it's on the tripod. I'm just going to keep it this way for a little while, see what I like with it. I also used a Sony FS700 running into a 7Q, and then I used the new camera on the Ronin, which is the Canon EOS R. I'm going to be doing a review on this camera and explaining why I got it, even though I've already got these other nice cameras. But bottom line is, guys, if you're looking for a camera in the $2,000 territory, man, the Canon EOS R is a monster. I am just blown away at how fast I can get good colors. The color science is unbelievable. It's been so long since I worked with Canon. The quality of the codec that it can record inside the camera is very surprising. That it's recording onto an SD card in 4K and it looks as good as it does is pretty fantastic.
Touch it gently, you want it, feeling completely calm, so you can hold it in your palm and help it grow just like it was born to be. Come, 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 come. Whoa, 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 whoa.
I'm totally stoked with that camera. I'll tell you more about that in another go, but I used all those different camera systems. So I went out to see the band, check on everything. I get back from checking on them on Friday night by around 8:30. I'm still up till 11:30. Basically still figuring out aspects of the shot list, what order to film in, how to be the most efficient possible, how to sit with one lens, one setup, and get all the different shots that I need for that setting with that lens, so I'm not constantly changing. Need to be changing as minimally as possible. I like to use prime lenses for the most part, which means it's one focal length. You put on a 24mm prime, that's it. You can't zoom in, you can't zoom out. I mean, you can do some of that in post, but that's the focal length. So when you want a different focal length, you have to change lenses, and that takes time. But the end result of that is that you get the most pristine image that you can get at that focal length. Primes are sharper than zoom lenses. So that's the advantage of doing that. Plus they're faster, they can do better in low light, which I definitely had to lean on a lot since we were using all natural light. Well, mostly natural light with reflectors. Saturday comes, I wake up 6:30 in the morning. Yeah, I got up at 6:30, still getting more stuff together. Pack up the last stuff in the van. I head out to the shoot, get there around 8. Between 8 to 8:30, I'm pulling stuff out. I'm, prepping stands, getting lights together, building the cameras back up, getting them at the settings that they need to be, moving stuff to different locations based on the first buildings that we're going to be filming in. We're filming by 9:30. Film all day. By 7 o'clock, we were done with Tiger Rock coming, which was just an amazing experience. I mean, we're talking about, all those kids came with their parents too. So at some point, I didn't do a head count, but I want to say we were rocking around, I don't know, there had to be at least 30 plus people in this one location. So every time I had to, which was great, it was fun, but there's a lot of shots to get and a big storyboard, and every time I'd film on this side, everyone would have to be behind my camera this way, so anytime I'd need to film on this side for the fight scene and get those angles, everybody's running to the other side of the tunnel. We were basically filming in a tunnel, and you'll see all that in the end result. But yeah, it was fun and funny, and anyway, they all got out of there around 7. Then I had to start prepping and lighting for the band shoot. We were only filming one portion of the band performances for one of the songs out of the 2, but I had to do that. By 10 o'clock, I'm done filming that. I think it was 9:47 when we were done. Then I'm packing up all the cards, I'm packing up all the batteries, leaving some stuff there, dashing back to the studio. Then I've got to cook dinner, and then I'm up till 2:30 in the morning offloading data, backing it up, charging up batteries as much as I can, go to bed at 2:30 in the morning, wake up at 6:30 in the morning, put more batteries back on chargers, make sure everything backed up fine on the cards, clearing cards, packing back up into the van, getting back out to the location by 8 a.m., We started filming again at like 9:30. Rain was hitting us. That we had to rearrange a lot of aspects of the shoot. We had one technical difficulty of somebody not being there that was supposed to be, but then he came later, so that was great. But man, we were really racking our brains for a while there on how we were going to do this. Finished filming that day around 7 o'clock, so this is on Sunday. So keep in mind, I mean, at this point, I only had a few hours of sleep. We're talking about 14 and 16-hour, shoot days and stuff. And the thing is that you got to be firing on all cylinders the entire time. It's not like you just have to show up for a job and you have pockets of time where you have downtime. I literally on Saturday took one 20-minute eating break and then another break for 10 minutes, and that was 14 hours of straight filming other than that, or prepping to film. It's just constant movement, constant decisions, constant directing and answering questions and figuring out what needs to happen. And in these types of shoots, when you're doing this so independently, you're really counting on the band and everybody that's involved to step up to the plate and put in the effort. And everyone absolutely did. By no means were people being lazy. This is just what it takes to do it. But being the director of it, I'm having to make the final decisions on a lot of stuff. I got to be firing on all cylinders, making sure that we're not missing aspects of the storyboard that need to be captured. So hopefully I got everything. We will find out over the course of me exploring the edit. Sunday wrapped up at 7. I'm packing up and stuff. At this point, I'm packing everything back up. On Saturday, I was able to leave some stuff there, but Sunday, I'm packing everything back up. I make it home by roughly 9:30. So that's a full shoot. We're talking about, you put it all together, I think I got I guess it's 10 hours of sleep over the course of the 3 days, but I didn't even talk about Thursday. So we'll just leave that out of the equation. And these are just really long work days, totally taxed, totally tired, lugging around gear, holding cameras in position. And I mean, I'm telling you, I'm a pretty physical person, and I swear to you, this stuff will break you. You will be so exhausted. I was so sore when I got up on Monday. So all this week I've been dying to look at the footage. I've gotten to look at very, very little. And the reason being that I had to do edits for VR systems, and I just wrapped up those videos not more than an hour ago, uploaded those, sent them over to them. They're going to check those for review. Hopefully no revisions are requested, and I can send them the final files next week. So that's kind of a summary of what it's like to do a production as like the single operator. But again, there's no way to do productions that end up coming out on this scale if it wasn't for a group participation from your client too. And I think that that's important. I mean, that's why I'm able to achieve the production looks and scales that I'm able to for the prices that I am, because if you compare it to something like trying to bring big city production to my local town of Tallahassee, right? And I mean, it exists, but the price tag on this oftentimes is so astronomically different than what I charge. And the reason being that I'm doing it all by myself versus hiring an entire team. And the only way that I can really do that is that participation from the people involved, my clients. But everyone wants to step up to the plate and do it. And the difference is that we wouldn't get to do the production otherwise, because they wouldn't have the budget they wouldn't be able to put together the budget that some of these other companies would be charging. And at the end of the day, you're still hiring an artist. So hopefully they're not just choosing me out of budgetary reasons. It's actually because they really like the style that I put on it. Every person, every filmmaker, director, editor, and stuff, I mean, they're going to do it differently. I just love having all hands on deck. This is how I roll. This is how I do all my productions. So take care. Next week, I think it's a very interesting episode because I'm going to be discussing a piece of gear that I'm actually going back to. I have had and been using a much newer piece of gear, a higher piece of technology, and I like it, but I'll tell you about it next week. And I'm going back to the old school one, and I'll tell and explain why I'm doing that. Even though I suck with the old school one, I'm gonna get good at it. That's my goal. That's my personal thing that I'm holding myself to, and it's gonna be fun. So I'll give an explanation of that. So look for that next week. This is the most on the fly one of these I've had to do in a while. If you guys are still listening to this, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you're interested in it. And hopefully you get a little bit of an idea of what a production's like, or maybe you're just curious about what a production is like that I personally do. But that's how I do it. It is very, very physically taxing. And I couldn't do it, honestly, if I didn't eat healthy and try to stay in shape. I'm telling you, if I did do it, I could stay up that long, but I wouldn't be thinking as clearly, I wouldn't get as many shots, and the shots wouldn't be as good. I mean, sometimes I'm putting myself in weird positions and lying down on the floor and sprinting back over to this way and that way to get stuff together. I just simply would be lazier, throw on a zoom lens and call it a day. And a lot of guys do that, and I refuse to let myself do that. So anyway, all right, take care, guys. If you dig this kind of content, you want to be up to speed on everything, please do subscribe. On my YouTube channel, I'm throwing these episodes up on Facebook too, but realistically, if you want to keep up with things, it's on YouTube. I'm really just using Facebook right now to let more people know about this, but YouTube is really the place to catch me. Please comment there, give me a like if you would, that would be fantastic. And things are just starting to grow on that channel, so I'm very excited, and I really appreciate all the subscribers that I've been getting. You guys have been awesome, and I really appreciate you guys being interested in what I'm doing. And hopefully you're getting a little bit of knowledge if you're interested in cameras. You know, I love sharing this kind of stuff and talking about it. By all means, feel free to comment. Let me know what you want to know a video about, because I'm all ears. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. It's hard for me to keep, you know, figure out which direction going first. So take care, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Movie Voice.